Hi guys, Arthur here from Homeowner DIY. In this video, I'm going to be addressing a running toilet. Now, this toilet does not shut off. When the fill valve, the float, goes all the way to the top, it would normally shut off the toilet. What that is telling me that the fill valve needs to be replaced. It's mechanical, it will wear out over time. This is a very simple job that you can definitely do on your own with minimal tools and resources. So what we'll do now is look at our setup.
So the fill valve on this toilet is not working anymore. The float is as high as it's going to go, so the toilet should be shut off. Now, I had to shut off the toilet because it's so damn loud. But if I push down, the toilet would be running. And once it's all the way up, the toilet would shut off. So water's going down the overflow tube, and that is why we don't have a mess all over the ground. But the fill valve on this toilet is now shut, so I'm going to show you how to replace it, how to set the toilet and make sure everything is up and running once again. So what we'll do now is material and tools. Alright, this is the material and tools list. So I have a fill valve. This is a Pro 45. I think this is a pretty common fill valve. It's by FLUIDMASTer. Braided toilet supply line, latex gloves, and for tools, 5/8 ratchet wrench, channel locks, or you can also use a crescent wrench, and then I have a container for water. Guys, this is the material and tools list for this job, so let's change out this fill valve. Alright, before I get started, what I am going to do is I'm going to open the valve just so you guys can see what this looks like. So this is all the way up and water's flowing down the overflow tube. Make a mental note of what this looks like for after when the new fill valve is installed. Alright, so the valve is already shut off down there, so what I'm going to do is flush the toilet to drain the tank. Okay, so we have a little bit of water left in the tank. That's not a big deal. I do have a tray that's going to catch it. So the next thing I'm going to do is disconnect the toilet supply line. Okay, so the toilet line needs to be removed. So that is this nut up here. Now, in general, this should only be hand tight, but I'm going to discard this toilet line anyway and put in a braided line. All right, we'll see if we can do this hand tight first. Alright, with the toilet line removed, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to undo the plastic nut that's holding on the fill valve. So this nut here needs to be removed. I'll see if I can do it by hand first. Now once the fill valve is pulled out, there's going to be a ton of water coming from the tank. Alright, I'm going to replace the toilet line. So the nuts at the top here, this is 5/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a set of channel locks to back wrench on the valve, and then I'm going to loosen off the nut to replace this toilet line. If you come across a plastic toilet line, I recommend you just replace it. Alright, so for the new toilet line, just get it started hand tight. Now this one here, tighten it as tight as you're going to be able to get it. Alright, this is the old one, this is the new one. So it says fully adjustable 9 to 14 inches. So to adjust it, you slide this ring up and then you can pull the lower part down. Now I believe that this is pretty much an exact replacement, so I'll just follow what the other one is. Now guys, keep one other thing in mind. I installed the other one a long time ago, so I'm confident in the work that was done. So what we have in the box, these are our parts. So we have our trailing line, which is at there. We have our clip that goes into our overflow tube, that's here, and then we have our nut. So in this case here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to follow what the old one was done as. So we slide the ring up, and then you can slide it up and down. I think that looks okay. So slide the ring down, and then that'll lock into place. Now I will tell you, I have ran into this problem one time where this ring slid up, and this portion, the top portion, actually blew off inside the tank, and it was just running down the overflow tube like it is in this case. So just be aware of that. If this top part comes off, it probably means that this thing has come off. So we have our gasket here. That will be on the inside of the tank. Basically, this thing is ready to go. And then we have our adjustment. So the adjustment, it says counterclockwise to reduce, clockwise to raise. So when you are turning this, this is going to move up and down. So that'll be another portion of the setting for the fill valve. So we have our line. Just slide it over. You don't need to cut this down. If you want to, you can. I'm not going to, but you don't need to. It's not necessary. So this is ready to go, and then our nut will go onto the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install the new fill valve. Alright, before you put the new fill valve in, just make sure that the bottom of the tank has no debris where the red gasket may come in contact with. So that is in. Plastic nut will go on. Alright, with that done, now the toilet line can be installed. Now, I've said this in other videos, but I will say it again. This plastic nut, hand tight only. If you use a wrench, you crack the tank, and then the insurance company finds out, they will not insure you for this. Alright, so with that all done, we'll now look at the inside the tank. Okay, so I orientated this towards this area here. It doesn't really matter, just make sure that this part is somewhere towards the middle of the tank. Now with our line here, clip it onto the edge of the overflow tube, and then make sure that this is going down into it. Now this is really coming up high. I mean, once the lid on the tank is on, it'll just push it over. Like I said, you can cut this down if you want, but it's not necessary. Now for this toilet, the water line is down here. You're generally going to have the water line somewhere printed on the back. If it does not have a water line, then just go off your overflow tube. Just go maybe a 1/4 inch below it, and that will be fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on the valve, and we're going to fill the toilet and check for leaks and see if we have to set the floats. Alright, I'll open the valve. I have to use channel locks because they once upon a time redid the floor and they didn't bother to do anything to make sure that the valve would be easily accessible, and in an emergency this will be a problem. Alright, with the valve open now, it's time to check leaks.
check for leaks when the toilet is full, that you have static water pressure. If the toilet is filling, then you're not going to have the same water pressure and you may not get a leak when it is filling. But the top nut here looks good, and because I did the bottom one as well, because I changed out the toilet line, check there as well, everything looks good. So with that in mind, what we'll do now is we will set the fill valve. Alright, so we see where the water level is with the overflow tube. So if I adjust it, we'll hit it down. And that is where the current water level is. Alright, well, in this case, the float could be, I guess, a little bit higher. Keep one thing in mind: if this is too high, your tank is the cover for the tank is not going to go on. I'm going to leave this because this is an old school toilet. It's a big tank. It's not a low flow like nowadays. But we will do a half flush. Alright, I'm going to leave it right there. So keep one thing in mind: these fill valves are mechanical, they will wear out. That's what happened with this one here. So the top of the old float was completely submerged, the top here, and whoever designed this toilet had enough intellect to figure out put an overflow tube. But if you have a running toilet, it could be maybe it is not set properly, or your fill valve is not working like it was in this case. But this is a quick and simple job. For those of you who are on a water meter, this will cost you a couple $100 in 1 month alone. Besides, you're going to hear the toilet running all the time. But this is a quick and simple fix. Without filming, I could probably do this thing in about 15 minutes. And me being a plumber, this is gravy money. Alright guys, so that concludes this job. So my opinion, working on a toilet is very simple. It's very straightforward. This design has been around for 200 years. I mean, it is straightforward, it's simple, it's inexpensive. There's no reason, in my opinion, that even the newest DIYer shouldn't be able to do this on their own. Otherwise, I didn't run into any problems. The toughest part of this job was just changing out the toilet line because it's such a tight space, but other than that, everything went very smoothly on this job. The time on this job. The time was 20 minutes. Again, this is straightforward. Everything is plastic. Nothing is going to rust together. So you shouldn't have any problems. Don't be aggressive. Hand tight the toilet line, the fill valve. Really hand tight it. If you have to go with channel locks, then you can do that as well. Just don't be aggressive. Be gentle because it's only plastic. The cost of this job. The fill valve is like $15. Like I said, this is a very simple, inexpensive project to do. I mean, there's no reason to hire anybody to do something like this. I've worked on thousands of toilets in my plumbing career, and this to me is, I could almost walk somebody through this over the phone because this is so simple. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope something here is going to help you on your project when you need to go ahead and do that. Guys, till next time, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next project.